Welcome to Perfectly Paranormal, episode 24. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today we're looking at pets and their sensitivity to energy in the home and to how they can absorb energy from their owners. And I have 4 real-life experiences for you as prime examples of energetic presence felt by pets, energetic transference, and also energetic attachment. Now, the following portrayal shows how animals focus on a specific spot within the home, and we can't see what they can. It's a sweet little story about a dad and a dog seeing each other when no one else could. And I've called this story The Ball and the Wall. Now, not all non-physical beings that visit us are dark and ominous. As much as people would like to think that, it is absolutely not true. And animals are very psychically open. They can see shapes and movements where most of us just don't. And when my dad was alive, he would play with our little orange-coloured dog called Dilly. They would play in the lounge room quite often. He would casually throw a tennis ball at the same spot on one wall and wait for Dilly to bring the ball back. Dilly would excitedly fetch the ball every time and just keep going back for more. And after my dad's passing, Dilly would sometimes pick up her tennis ball and take it to that spot on the wall where Dad used to throw her ball all the time, and Dilly would just drop it there. She would look intensely at the ball and then up at the wall, in the same way that she used to do when my dad was alive. Now, was he standing there? I personally couldn't see him, but psychic sight is not my prime sense. But it's nice to think that Dilly saw and acknowledged his occasional visits and still wanted to play fetch. Now, I just want to add in here before we look at our second experience. Always take your pet to the vet if it's experiencing changes in behaviours and habits. You know, if the pet then comes back with a clean bill of health, then the cause of the issues may be energetic. Some of the things we're going to outline in our next stories could be medical, but they could also be energetic. Sometimes it's a combination of both. So for our second experience, we're going to look at a sweet little dog with issues. And I've called this experience Benny's Toilet Troubles. Now, Jenny is a friend and client of mine, and she recently mentioned in an email that her lovely little dog Benny was having consistent toileting issues, which were a problem in their home. And I suggested an energetic clearing may offer some assistance in helping Benny release any possible energetic blockages which could be contributing to his problem. Now, this is what Jenny wrote in her email regarding Benny's negative behavioural habits. I call Benny my spirit dog because I got a message as clear as a bell that I was getting him in May 2020. Now, I was in the kitchen trying to think what to make for dinner while my 2 sons were arguing over the dishes as to who was to do the washing and the drying. 2 days later, my daughter rang me to ask if I would take in Benny, as his owner simply didn't want him anymore. He apparently was pooing and weeing in their house, and they just didn't want him anymore. I took him in, and he never did it at my house until after Jeff and I got together. Now, when I read that in Jenny's email, I'm thinking, okay, male in the house. Was Benny possibly being abused by a male in the previous home that was causing him to be nervous and pooing in the house and losing control of his bladder? Now, I mentioned this to Jenny as part of my response. And this is what she said. Yes, it does sound like abuse from a male person in the home. Maybe a male who looks like Jeff. And this look-alike triggered poor little Benny's toileting nervousness and mishaps. Now, along with the energy clearing, I suggested that Jeff could slowly build a trusting relationship with Benny, as they were going to be living together long term. I suggested that Jeff could offer Benny treats as food bribery. We all know that food bribery works. And it's always a winner with pets. Now, this could help with Benny's confidence around Jeff and other males, and realise that not all males are violent or abusive. Jeff could also offer smiles and kind words as well. Animals really respond to these vibrations. And down the track, Jeff could move to pats and cuddles with Benny. So what did I find from Benny's energetic clearing? I found 5 dark energy beings present in his energy field. And there were build-ups of emotional imprints such as despair, sadness, sorrow, paranoia, worthless, unworthy, and anxiety. Now, as I'm doing his clearing, I felt massive waves of sadness come through me as I'm clearing these emotions from Benny. This is something that happens quite often when I do clearings for people, pets, and sometimes buildings in the land. Now, I spent quite a lot of time talking to his photo, and I asked the archangels to help Benny remember to go outside for toileting. And I really hope the release of the paranormal beings and the emotional energetic imprints allows his body to return to normal long term. Now, this is an email that I received from Jenny 1 week after Benny's energy clearing. Jenny says, "He's like a different dog. The next day after the energy clearing, he was far happier, obedient, and not peeing or pooing in the house. She said he's such a good dog. I really do love him dearly. And there's been a very noticeable difference in his personality and his behaviours." Now, I spoke with Jenny in June 2023, and Jeff is now offering air-dried anchovies as a positive reinforcement for Benny. And get this just made my day when I read this. Benny has even been showing Jeff some adoration by voluntarily jumping up on his lap. Now, what a wonderful outcome for Benny and his human family. Now let's look at our third experience. Here we're going into cat territory. And we're going to be talking about a cat who was behaving very badly. Now, Jo emailed me to say that Bob, her cat, was misbehaving again. And could it be an energetic issue, causing him to hiss at his sister, peeing in the lounge room, and his general unfriendliness? Now, I've energetically cleared Bob before, and in the past, most of, about 80% of his energetic issues all stemmed from Jo's mental and emotional issues and her reactions. Now, pets are like little energetic sponges, and they absorb both positive and negative emotional imprints from us all the time. Now, when I looked into Bob's energy field, my pendulum dowsing told me that yet again he'd absorbed Jo's negative emotions, and they were upsetting the balance of his energy. He was confused, he was upset, he was reactive, and he was really not a very happy cat at all. Now, at work, Bob's owner, Jo, her department had recently experienced cutbacks, and you know what's coming, and she quite suddenly just lost her job. Now, that's going to upset anyone. Of course she was stressed and anxious and worried about how she was going to pay the bills, feed herself, feed her cats. And she told me that she would be sitting constantly with Bob and his sister, stroking them and patting them while watching TV at night, and constantly thinking about her emotional issues, her mental issues, and about how she was going to have to start looking for a new job. Now, Jo had been in a job for a very long time. And as we all know, when you've got to go for a job interview, that is really super, super stressful. So Jo knew from past experiences that her animals could absorb her emotions, but she was so caught in her distress and her anxiety that she kind of forgot. And her pets, her fur babies, are her family. And of course she's going to sit and pat them of a night time. We don't always monitor our thoughts. But when we realise that our negative emotions, our negative mental states affect the animals around us and the people and the home, when you look at it in general, you've really got to think about what you're thinking. Now, during this troubled time for Jo, Bob had absorbed from Jo many episodes of overwhelm, unsupported anxiety and hopelessness. And this was over about a period of a month. And the energetic build-up really upset him mentally, and his behaviours became quite disruptive. Now, Jo sent me a video. You're going to love this. It's just it was so cool. When I saw it, I was like, this proves to me that energy work really does work. 2 weeks after Bob's energy clearing, Jo sent me a video. She was so excited. There was Bob, peacefully lounging in the sun without a care in the world. Jo was so excited. She said he'd been calmer and that he was almost back to his normal self. There was no hissing, there was no lashing out at his sister, there was no bailing up anyone in the corner, there was no disruptive behaviours, hardly at all. It's never going to be 100%. We're never 100% happy. But she saw a defined difference in Bob's behaviours by me simply tuning into looking at his photo, asking permission to do an energetic clearing, doing the Sherlock Holmes work, doing that detective work, finding out what the issues were and removing them. Now, there were no paranormal beings present within Bob, but they're not always the cause of the emotional upset. Sometimes it is simply a large build-up of emotional imprints. Now, yet again, this was a defined lesson for Jo about how pets can absorb what we are feeling and thinking. And she really, really promised to work hard on her emotional reactions in the future, so she doesn't affect her beloved pet again. Pets are so prone to absorbing detrimental energy. Now, they can absorb it from the environment, from other animals, but generally it's from their owners, because they're the ones that pets look up to. They follow you around, they sit with you, they sleep with you. They're just in our environment all the time. And they are just little sponges that soak up their owner's negative emotions, sometimes their neurotic behaviours. And it can be through psychic cording attachments or just by simply sharing the environment, like I mentioned earlier. Now, these emotions really do impact the animal's mental and emotional health, which may affect their physical health and their behaviours in the long run. Now, when you are more self-aware, like Jo will be from now on, you create benefits for your pet's health as much as for your own health by dealing with mental and emotional issues as soon as they come up, seeing a counsellor, talking about your problems. Bottling problems up is one of the worst things that you can do. As much as dealing with it is confrontational, because it is, but that short term dealing with it is actually going to give you a long term of peace of mind for you and your pets. Now here's our fourth and final story for this episode, which outlines energetic imprints from a different perspective involving a chicken. Yes, you've heard me right. I have friends with chickens, and this one particular chicken had an issue. They'd been to the vet, they'd looked at all sorts of different methods in a physical way of helping this chicken, and I put my hand up and went, I've worked on cats and dogs. How about I do an energy clearing for a chicken? And I've called this story, How Baby's Grief Affected Her Health. Now this story is in the form of a testimonial from Kim, who is Baby's owner. She was so happy after I did this energetic clearing for her chicken. She just wanted to send me a testimonial to put on my website so other people can see and read about how energy can affect not only our normal domesticated pets, but also our chickens, guinea pigs, maybe even fish. I don't know. I haven't done a clearing for a fish yet, but you never know. Now, Kim writes, I am a chicken mother. That's right. I love my feathered babies and always have my eye on them to ensure that they're both healthy and happy. At times, things pop up that need addressing, as all you chookie owners out there know. And on this particular occasion, my beautiful big white Australorp named Baby was just not herself. She was displaying signs of being egg-bound, which are her tail was down, she had no appetite, and she was moving really slowly. So with some help from my partner, we immediately took action. We gave her a few Epsom salt baths over the next few days, plus we altered her diet accordingly. But there was no visible improvement. So what to do next? I talk to Kim quite often, and when she mentioned this, like I said earlier, about Baby having an issue, I'm like, look, I'm putting my hand up here. Can I please do an energetic clearing for Baby? I would be so interested to see if chickens absorb our emotions just as much as other domesticated pets. So I sent a photo of Baby to Anna, who performed the clearing within the hour. Then a couple of hours after the energy clearing, Baby visibly picked up and was almost back to her normal self. And some of you out there are going, yeah, right, Anna's just making this up. No, this is 100% truth. All the stories that I share are all real-life experiences that have occurred, whether it be in my life or my client's life. That is the whole reason why I share them, is to give a different perspective about how energy can affect us. So I was saying, then a couple of hours after the energy clearing, Baby visibly picked up and was almost back to her normal self. By the evening, around 5 hours after Anna performed the clearing, Baby had fully returned to her normal state of health and happiness. And at the same time that Anna was doing Baby's clearing, I took another spiritual approach and did some meditation with the intention of helping heal Baby. And that's a great positive way of sending love to your pet as well. Okay, so never doubt any of these aspects. The intention of helping this chicken heal, along with an energy clearing, along with doing the physical aspects of the Epsom salt baths, changing the diet, seeing a vet, it's all a holistic approach to help heal, whether it be people, places, or animals. Now, what did I write in Baby's report? Now, you're going to find this interesting. This was the issue that was upsetting the chicken. Anna's report on baby's clearing revealed that she had dark energies present in her energy field. Now, these energy beings were attached to negative emotions. And in brackets, she's written, yes, Chookies have emotions too. So emotions that baby created when one of her sisters passed away 4 weeks ago. This didn't surprise me at all, writes Kim, as all the girls in her flock are very close. Now, Anna's report also showed that baby had absorbed some negative emotions from me. This information resonated, as I do spend a lot of time connecting with baby while I'm outside gardening. Kim's always talking to her chickens, picking them up, patting them. She really is like the best chicken mother. Now, because of this strong emotional connection that Kim had to baby, Kim did what I call a cord cutting. When people are going through trauma, they're going through negative emotions, they've got all these horrible experiences happening in their lives, they need to disconnect their energy cording between people that are close to them, pets that are close to them. This emotional energy travels through what I call psychic cording or energy cording. We each have cords to the people that we love in our lives. And sometimes when we're going through grief and trauma and we're having a really hard time, those emotional imprints can inadvertently travel to other people. So I can't see why it wouldn't happen, travelling to Kim's pet chicken. I know it sounds really weird. This stuff is really, really out there. But I've done lots of work on people and pets, and I know from experience, decades of experience, that we emotionally transfer between people all the time. We are literally energy in motion in these physical bodies. No wonder we struggle as human beings. It's one of the toughest jobs we're ever going to have to do, is just to survive emotionally and mentally in this lifetime. Now, this experience that baby had is a classic example of how all sentient beings can feel emotions and sometimes absorb emotional energy imprints from others. And it's great to see that animal owners are looking beyond the normal perspectives which can affect an animal's health. All living beings can be affected medically, mentally, emotionally, and energetically. Now, I'd like to share some of the symptomatic changes in pets' behaviour which may indicate energetic presence. Now, all of the things I'm going to outline are things that I've experienced or things that I've witnessed with my clients. Now, what I share here may have medical issues, but also may be energetic, maybe a combination of both. So it's always important to get your animal medically checked and also to look at things like diet, health, their environment, but also energetically, because animals can be medically unwell, emotionally upset, and spirits and sometimes darker energy beings, when they're present in homes, animals see them. They are so psychic. A lot of people I talk to don't believe in psychic abilities, but they believe in the fact that their animals, especially cats and dogs, can see things that they can't see, can feel things that they can't feel. So that says to me psychic, but I'm not up for arguing with anybody. I simply offer a different perspective. So here are some of the signs that I've witnessed over the last 15 years in pets. Pets can refuse to enter a new home, such as in episode 22 of this podcast, where Kath's dog simply refused to enter their new house out in the country and chose to eat and sleep outside. Now, some pets can pace and they can't settle during the day or night. They simply can't relax. Pets may appear nervous and they can constantly have frightened looks on their faces, and sometimes pets can even hide and won't come out when called. Now, pets can have a lessened appetite, or they simply just won't eat at all. They won't go near their food. If there is something, a something in inverted commas, whether it's a big emotional build-up, a trauma imprint, or a paranormal being present where their food bowl and their water bowl is located, pets are going to see what you can't see. And they're like, nah, I'm not going over there. So I always say to people, if you're not sure, move your pet's feeding station to another area, whether it be in the kitchen, outside the back door, somewhere else in the home, and then observe the pet's behaviour. Now, some pets, like people, experience sleep disturbances, especially when there's paranormal beings around, whether they're spirits or dark energy beings. And they can sometimes choose to sleep in different locations in the home. And normally the dog sleeps on the sofa or at the end of your bed or at the bottom of the stairs, and you just can't find them. But they're under the couch or they're behind the couch. Or in one case, this is funny, the owner couldn't find her dog, but he had crawled in under a pile of cushions and gone to sleep. And all she could see when she got up in the morning was his nose sticking out of this pile of cushions. Like, she found that really funny. Like, seriously, animals have these great ideas about how they can protect themselves. Now, sometimes pets may bite or lash out, and this is for no logical reason. Or they may snarl at dark places like spaces within your home, in the stairwells. They may bark at walls, or they may get a little bit aggressive towards family members. Now, if it's not medical, if your pet's been checked out, it's got to be energetic. There is something causing this animal to react. Now, this is an interesting sign. A few times during online video calls, I have witnessed pets nervously chewing on their joints, or their owners looking at them while the dog is pulling out hair, or they're nipping away at their skin. I found this with one of my clients whose pet was absorbing the owner's negative emotions on a daily basis. And the poor little dog would nip and lick and pull out the hair on one of his front legs until he had quite a big open wound. And the owner's like, I just don't know what is wrong with my dog. And I put my hand up again here, as I did with the chicken, and I went, would you give me permission to do an energetic clearing on your pet? All I need is a photo so I can focus on his lovely face, and I can just ask permission to tune into his energy and just see if there's any emotional build-up, any paranormal beings, anything he wants to tell you. Because quite often pets have a lot to say, but as we know, they have trouble communicating. Now, some pets, when there are paranormal beings in the home, like we talked about them hiding under the cushions or going outside, some pets will avoid being touched. And they won't sit near people, and they prefer to hide, or again, they just go outside where they feel safer. When usually these pets would love company, and they get up on you and they're licking and they're cuddling and they fall asleep on your knee. When you have these really significant changes in a pet's behaviour, the way that they react to you, the way that they look at you, if it's not medical, it's got to be energetic. So think about sitting in another seat, seeing if your dog will come up and sit on you when you're in your bed, on your bed. Because this does make me wonder, can pets pick up on energetic changes in furniture? This just came to me as I'm recording this podcast, because one of my episodes I talk about the green chair and how that chair had absorbed emotional imprints from previous owners. And when the person sat in it, they felt uncomfortable, their behaviour changed. I'm wondering, and I would say it's probably 100% yes, that if animals sit in these pieces of furniture or particular locations in their home and their behaviours start to change, are they adopting the behaviours the emotional imprints, the trauma imprints that have been left behind in those locations. That is something for me to do further research on, and when I know, I'll share the information with you. Now, this is one of the most common examples of paranormal presence in the home. Pets may obsessively focus on a particular location in the home. You know, we see them looking around the rooms. Often they're looking up and their heads might not be moving, but their eyes are following something moving around, quite often where the ceiling meets the walls. This is where I find that paranormal beings like to linger, in that location, and pets will simply just look. Now, I hope you found this episode on pets and the paranormal and pets and energetic imprints rather interesting. It is a bit of an eye-opener for many people as to the sensitivity of our fur babies and how our personal negative emotions can affect pets as much as the people around us. So in episode 25, we are looking at paranormal beings in the workplace. Yes, they're in the workplace too. They're simply everywhere. Anywhere where people create negative emotional imprints, you're going to find paranormal beings. You know, you don't just have to go on ghost tours. You can go down the mall, go to the supermarket, go to a funeral home, go to the hospital, go down to a school. Oh my goodness, schools. We'll talk about that on another episode. So we're going to look at them in the workplace and how they affect your mind and body and how they affect your mental functioning. Now, this came about because a dear friend of mine named Dean, who lives in the UK, I did an energetic clearing for a historic building where he works. Now, this is a second floor that has been built on a very old historic building in a little country town in the UK. So the actual floor where he works is reasonably new. I think Dean said it was about the 1960s they did this addition, and his family have owned that floor for quite a long time. And he was like, you need to clear my workplace, please, Anna. And I'm like, sure, I can do that for you. And what I found was really, really interesting. So if you want to know about what I found in Dean's workplace, tune in to episode 25. And he will be sharing his thoughts, his before and after experiences from the energetic clearing that I did in his long-term workplace. So thank you for joining me today. It is a pleasure, as always, to share all my paranormal paraphernalia. And don't forget, if you want to share one of your paranormal experiences or you've got a question, I am open to all different types of paranormal questions. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, and the web address is in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.